Okay, I have to ask, do I really need to explain this? When you're just walking down the street, minding your own business, having a good day, and this little shit is yipping at you, what what exactly crosses your mind? Do you think to yourself, "Oh yeah, this thing would totally survive on its own in the wild?" Do you think to yourself, "Oh yeah, that's totally a masculine pet," as it makes noise for no justifiable reason, and it's too stupid to know when to stop? My point is, I think everyone already agrees with me here, but apparently it still needs to be said, according to this poll that I made. Everyone wants to hear me talk about this for some reason. I think everyone agrees, even women. But no one wants to admit this to themselves, let alone out loud. Okay, then, well, I guess I have to explain this. People are interesting like that. These animals, dogs, truly are abominations of nature. And the funny thing is, that's not even an opinion, it's a fact. Dogs did not end up this way on their own. You can say that about the dodo bird, you can say that about pigeons, but you can't say that about dogs. And for the record, I want to, leave two things on the record here. I like wolves. Wolves are awesome. You won't hear me criticizing wolves in this video. You might never hear me criticizing the existence of wolves. I like wolves. They are very respectable animals. Dogs are not. And the other thing is, I am a cat person. I've always liked cats more than dogs, significantly more. But I don't think it clouds my judgment, not at all. You see, when I was a kid, I didn't dislike dogs. I just didn't really care for them. My feelings toward them weren't really that negative. I just didn't really care. They were on the same plane as like a pet iguana. Like, okay, it's there, but whatever, I don't care. Oops, didn't mean to rhyme. Blech. And funny enough, when I was a kid, I actually thought my opinion of dogs would improve as I got older. I assumed that by the time I'm in my 20s, 30s, and 40s, that my opinion of dogs would drastically improve, and I might even like the animals. I go from being indifferent to actually liking them. But that didn't happen. The opposite happened. As I got older, I ended up not just not liking dogs as much, but I ended up hating them. I actually detest their existence now. First and foremost, before I get into the meat of this video, and I think to an extent everyone also knows this, but apparently I have to explain everything. Dogs are not found in nature. We literally made them this way. Why are they so ugly? Why are they so fucking stupid? We made them this way. And how did we make them this way? Forced inbreeding. For centuries upon centuries, we took dogs with specific traits and we forced them to breed with their own close relatives in order to keep those traits in the lineage. Dogs are one of the first technologies, if you will, an archaic technology, if you will. Back when we barely had wheels, back when we certainly didn't have machines or any kind of mastery over electricity. We had very natural technologies like fire, and we had dogs. Dogs ventured a little too close to our encampments, and we thought, hey, this can be useful. Useful how exactly? Well, they bark. That's one. What's the use of barking? It alerts people to nearby danger. Someone or something has ventured a little too close to the encampment, to the village. Dogs were the original alarm systems. And they don't just bark, they don't just alert people to things, they also help you defend against things. They won't just make noise, they will attack. So obviously, that's very useful. And the fact that it was even possible to domesticate them is exactly why we did. Not all animals can be domesticated, but dogs could be. And then we did all that forced inbreeding to get even more uses out of them, besides the rudimentary perimeter defense systems that they were. You get terriers, for example, who were bred to deal with pests. Lots of uses out of dogs. But for this video, all of that is irrelevant. Because first of all, that was in the past. And second of all, even if we still needed dogs for these uses, it still wouldn't change the fact that that's not primarily what we have dogs for anymore. Even if we still needed them for all of the things, it's not what we have them for now. And that's what I'm going to address here. What are they now? You know, while I'm on the subject of technologies and how dogs are one of the first technologies, so to speak, it's funny, women are so inclined to be left-wing, and what you see from leftists all the time is this belief that things from the past are inherently either completely useless or in need of being upgraded, or just plain discarded altogether, simply because it's a relic of the past. They believe that about everything, but not when it comes to dogs. Leftism is inherently feminine, and yet this view of history, of time, doesn't apply to dogs. Funny that. We actually don't need dogs anymore for what we used to need them for. We have actual technologies that do all of those things better. We have literal alarm systems. We have much better weapons. You know, no tribe uses dogs anymore as a main part of their army. We have vehicles, we have turrets, anything a dog can do, we have machines that can do it better. Yeah, dogs are, as far as function goes, completely outdated. So why are they still around? They're still around because of women and their nature. I once saw a video, let me see if I can find it here. I once saw a video of a guy saying get rid of your cat and get a dog. That's what a man would do. And I just thought, how? How the hell is a dog a masculine pet? Let's go over what dogs do now. Let's ignore what they were useful for in the past. What do dogs do now? They get attached to you. They still make noise when they hear the slightest anything unusual. They'll attack things that they don't need to attack, but I suppose they technically can attack things that need to be attacked. And that's pretty much it. The main thing they're useful for now is the attachment thing. But it's also for women to feel safe. Feel. You got to remember, women don't think. And no, Ayn Rand or Ayn Rand, however the hell you pronounce her name, she was no intellectual. She tried to be. Women can't be intellectuals. Women can't be philosophers. And even if they could be, exceptions just prove the rule anyway. Overwhelmingly, it never happens. Women don't even try, let alone pull it off. Women don't think. They feel. And they need to feel safe at all times. They have the minds of babies. Women are perpetually scared of just about everything because they are the weaker sex, and humans are just a weak species in general, and they are the weaker half of our weak species. Women are scared of the dark, they're scared of being alone, they're scared of damn near everything. That's why they always want a dog. And that's my primary proof here. Have you noticed women always want a dog? How can you possibly believe dogs are a masculine pet when the ones who want dogs the most are women? 9 times out of 10, when I see someone walking a dog, it's a woman. It's about her feeling safe. She wants something that will alert her to danger and help her deal with the danger. That's what makes them a feminine pet. I'm still not done, by the way, but that's the main thing here. Women have a literal, constant need to feel safe and secure. And that's why they always want a damn dog. And that's why pit bulls are especially popular among women. They try to deny it. They always try to deny it, but women know. They know pit bulls are particularly aggressive. They know the reputation of pit bulls. They pretend to be ignorant of it. They know. And that's the point. That's the point. They want something with them at all times that will not hesitate to strike. Women know they're weak. They're not just the weaker sex. They are weak, period. They get hurt by words. Words alone can hurt them. And I mean literally. Not just make them cry, but a woman's feelings are so ingrained within her that when she is distressed, and women easily get distressed, and they get distressed far more often than men, when that happens, it actually brings them physical pain. When they are getting hysterical, it brings them physical pain. So yes, this physical pain caused by being far too emotional, because they have the minds of babies, actually physically hurts them. Words can physically hurt them. So women are not just the weaker sex, they are weak. Full stop. And they know this. And even if they have a man, even if they have a masculine man, it's still not good enough. Why? Why is that? They need constant assurance that they are safe, that they are secure. Constant. But it's also because of this. This is the other part that I want to explain. It's not entirely a safety thing. That's the main thing. That's well more than half the reason. Feeling secure. But it's also because women are wired to take care of babies. It's what they evolved to do. Take care of babies. Take care of things that are even weaker and more helpless than they are. Dogs don't exactly fit that bill, but they're smaller. They're smaller than women, so it's close enough. And because women are wired to take care of babies, they are also wired to find ugly things cute. Ugly, small things cute. There's a connection there. Their love for pit bulls, for example. A portion of that is also for that reason too. Pit bulls are ugly as shit, but they find that cute. None of these are coincidences. At the end of the day, this is the point. Dogs fulfill all of the things that women need, just in an abominable way. That need to feel safe at all times, they'd rather have it in some inbred abomination instead of a man, or at minimum, in addition to a man. That need to take care of something smaller and in some ways more helpless than they are, it fulfills that need too. If dogs were a masculine pet, dogs would be in cages most of the day, every day. And most people wouldn't have them. They wouldn't be a common pet, especially these days when technology replaced everything we used to need dogs for. You know, if they were a masculine pet, you wouldn't hear so much this bullshit of like, oh, he's part of the family. Dog mom. Wouldn't hear that shit. That's completely feminine behavior. And all of this just comes to further prove how psychotic women are by nature. It's never good enough to have a man. It's never good enough to have babies. They also need some creature that can substitute as a man, some creature that can substitute as a baby. They want that too. Sometimes, oftentimes, especially these days, they want that instead. No matter what dogs used to be useful for, we don't need them for that now. You see them running around the house because morons, namely women, want them to be part of the family. It's psychotic. It is psychotic. It is a soft form of psychosis to want this beast substituting as a member of your family, sometimes just straight up replacing it. I've heard countless women say that they don't want kids, but they always want a dog. It's psychotic. The reason you hear dogs barking at you all the time is because it makes women feel safe. They would rather constantly tell their beast, their inbred abomination of nature, they would rather tell this thing to shut up all day, every day, as it barks at absolutely nothing. They'd rather do that than not have the barking at all. I don't think the barking even bothers them, because every time they hear that fucking noise, a woman thinks, oh, there's my beast looking out for me. And the ironic thing is, because dogs bark so often at absolutely fucking nothing, especially these days when there's not nearly as many dangers as there were 100,000 years ago. All you're doing is desensitizing yourself to those barks. You hear a dog barking now, it's the same as a car alarm. You're not thinking, like, your first thought is not, oh, there's actual danger near me. That's not your first thought. Your first thought is, well, that's annoying. Or, if you're a man, it's annoying. But if you're a woman, her first thought is like, oh, well, just, that's just what dogs do. Makes me feel safe, but it's just, he's probably just barking at nothing. She's probably just barking at nothing. Makes me feel safe, but it's probably nothing. It's really just a reminder. It's not any true function. Women just want dogs, just to have that reminder that something is there protecting them. Like an actual alarm that just randomly goes off just to remind you that you're safe. It's fucking psychotic and retarded. But make no mistake, it's feminine. Women are crazy. Women are just crazy creatures, naturally insane, the vast majority of the time. Honestly, to be completely honest, I think dogs are one of the greatest proofs of everything I say about women. Nothing reinforces everything I say about women, everything that people are starting to wake up to about women, than dogs. Take this clip, for example. This dumb broad, she at least has enough sense to muzzle her beast, but she thinks that she can control it as it starts to, like it almost attacks other dogs while she's out walking it. It almost does. And she actually believes that she could hold it back if it truly tried. If it actually tried, if it just ignored her, if the beast was just like, fuck off, I'm gonna just attack. She actually thinks she could hold it back and stop it from doing that. So yeah, when I say women are stupid, dogs help prove that too. This girl thinks she could hold back a pit bull. Pit bulls, which were bred to attack things. Seriously, look up the history of where pit bulls came from. Look it up. It's ugly. They were bred to attack things their size or smaller, or things that are just smaller in general. Sometimes attack things for no reason, but I've heard countless stories about pit bulls killing babies and children. And how do women react to that? Oh, something. Maybe the dog was just startled by something and it didn't know what it was startled by. Something just utterly retarded. But women will justify pit bulls killing innocent children just so that they don't have to get rid of theirs. I tell you, women really don't care about children. They really don't. That's not an opinion. That's, at this point, a statistical fact. They don't care about children. And people think that because women get all emotional around babies or something, that means they care. You don't know what love is. You don't know what care is if you think crying because you're holding a baby means you care. No. Feelings are irrational. They're not logical. Can't believe I still have to say this. Dogs prove in real time everything you need to know about women. They are crazy, they are stupid, they are weak. If these things weren't true, they wouldn't want dogs nearly as often as they do. They wouldn't have dogs nearly as often as they do. They wouldn't be actually attached to dogs nearly as often as they are. They wouldn't want dogs even more often than they want children. Honestly, the way I view dogs is the psychosis of women incarnate. The physical embodiment of how crazy women are. If there was a sort of manifestation of a woman's craziness, it would be exactly in the form of a dog. Exactly like that. Women don't tell dogs to stop barking because it annoys them. It doesn't annoy them. They tell it to shut up because it's embarrassing them. If dogs were a masculine pet, they wouldn't be so helplessly emotional and attached to you as their owner. Do you realize that? Dogs just, they're just overflowing with excitement when you get home. How is that masculine exactly? How do people not see that as feminine? Just these, like, always over the top emotions. And it's all day, every day. Men don't want that. As soon as they open the door, something is just jumping on them, or even like two or three of them just jumping on them. Oh, thank you for coming home. I am so excited to see you. Even though you were only gone for an hour. And that happens every single time. Men don't really want that. Women do. So yeah, ultimately, I can't believe I even had to make this video because everyone knows deep down dogs are feminine pets. The most feminine pet. And what makes it worse is that men don't really do anything to keep it under control. Pit bulls just shouldn't exist. Personally, I think not only that they shouldn't exist, but they should stop existing. And I don't care how they stop existing. They're just evil animals. And they can't help it. It's technically not their fault, but I don't care. They need to be removed. They need to be removed from society, regardless of how they came to be that way. But anyway, men are just not doing enough about this. We just accept that we have to hear this noise all the time. Walking down the street, we hear this noise. Walk into someone's house, we have to hear this noise. We have to be on high alert. Oh, this thing might attack us for no reason. And it's always backed up by a woman. We just put up with it. We just put up with it. This beast that might attack you for no reason, well, just let it run around, do whatever it wants. Just let it do that. Why? Because emotions or something. The woman of the house wouldn't like it if you tried to bring the beast under control. I have heard men every once in a while say like put the dog in the cage or something in the kennel. Almost always met with resistance, protest. Oh, don't put it in there. It doesn't need to be in there. Oh, and before I forget this, I can't believe I almost forgot to say this. It's quite literally about feelings when it comes to the protection thing. It's quite literally just feelings. Because if there actually was danger, guess what? Like if someone was breaking into your house, guess what? Your dog is not going to stop them. If someone is breaking into your house with the intention of hurting you, guess what? They are prepared for the dog. And dogs are not even that big. The average man could just throw one through a window. Okay, glass isn't that easy to shatter, but dogs are really easy to deal with. Okay, even in prehistory, they were just reinforcements. They were not the primary defense. But when a woman has a dog for protection, she thinks it will just straight up deal with any and all threats, when that's completely retarded to believe. Most threats, human or otherwise, can easily deal with a dog, even a pit bull. It just goes back to like why pit bulls need to be removed, because they tend to attack things that can't fight back. But they don't try, generally, don't seem to try to attack things that can fight back. But a dog is not going to protect you. If danger, whether it's an intruder or a bear, whatever the danger is, a dog is not going to stop it. So it just goes back to feelings. Feelings. They just want to feel like they're safe. I have one more story for you guys, and it's a story that frankly makes me feel very sad because it involves my own family. My family is one of the greatest disappointments of my life, from my siblings all the way through the extended relatives. And this story involves my grandma. I still can't believe this happened. So, for a time, I was visiting my grandma every single week, and she had a German Shepherd named Bruno. Bruno, I didn't like him. He's a dog. I don't like dogs. But I was never rude to him. I never shoved him away, never yelled at him, never raised my voice at him. Just avoided him. That's all I did. And despite this, even though I was never hostile towards Bruno, one day when I visited my grandma, she told me that if I continue to have a problem with Bruno, that I won't be allowed at her house anymore. What a thing to say, especially when, as I just told you, I was never hostile towards Bruno. I just simply avoided him. You know, if I had regularly shoved him or yelled at him or things like that, it would have made a little more sense. But I never did any of those things. And my grandma still said that to me. Now, the story would have spoken volumes if it had ended right there. But the story actually got better. And I say that sarcastically. Bruno, it ended up being the case that he was a little crazy. One day, I wasn't there, but one day apparently he attacked my grandma for no reason. He was a German Shepherd, by the way, not a pit bull. My grandma just, if I remember hearing the story correctly, I think she was like sitting on her chair or something, and she just leaned forward, and he just bit her arm, and wouldn't let go until my uncle, her son, got him to let go. After that incident, they did their best to rehabilitate Bruno, although he didn't really have behavioral issues before that. It was just a moment when he just got crazy. He was otherwise always well behaved. But anyway, they tried to train him. They tried to do all of the things. And it seemed to have worked for a while, but I think it was about 1, maybe 2 months later, he did the same thing. He did it again. My grandma was just minding her own business one day, and Bruno, for no reason, just bit her, attacked her. And that was when she realized, that's when we all realized, he needs to be put down. And it took my grandma getting attacked by her own dog a second time for her to finally accept this. And so he was. And after he was put down, I couldn't help but think to myself, you almost prohibited me from visiting you because of this fucking beast. And then you learned the hard way that it's a beast, that it's an animal. I'm your grandson. And you nearly prioritized your inbred beast above your grandson. Now, I didn't voice those thoughts to my grandma either, but I've thought those thoughts ever since. Still can't believe she ever said that to me, especially after what Bruno turned out to be. You know, when I talk about women and their nature, you might be tempted to think it's just modern women, but my grandma comes from a different time period. You know, she was in her prime before feminism took over. Feminism existed, sure, but it didn't dominate the culture until after her prime years, after she had already had several children and such. She comes from a different time, and she is still a woman. As I describe women, she hates feminism. You know, she hates feminism. And guess what? Damn near all of the descriptions and explanations I provide you guys about the nature of women still apply to her. And I would bet they applied to her mother and her mother's mother and so on and so on. They're still women. Everything that's wrong with women is not a modern thing. We just think women are worse now because we gave them power. That's really the only difference between women these days and women from 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. It's the only difference. They're still women, though. History kept women down for a reason. My own grandmother nearly prioritized a dog above her grandson. Even if he had never attacked her, that still would have been true. Don't tell me. Don't even try to tell me that dogs are not a feminine pet. If you're a man, you shouldn't like dogs. You just plain shouldn't. That's problematic. But if you're a man and you like dogs because they're just so loving and affectionate and emotional, that says something about you. You shouldn't be into that shit. Oh yeah, man, my dog Lucky, he's my pal, man. Gay. Anyway, I don't really know how to close this out. It was obvious. I think it's beyond obvious. Dogs are feminine pets. I'm amazed that I even had to make this video, that people wanted me to make this video. When, I think everyone already knows this. I don't think I said anything that people don't really already know. But whatever, here it is. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you for the next video.